The new expansion for Guild Wars 2 End of Dragons was fantastic. The story was so much better than other expansions, the maps and metas are really fun, and the strikes are brilliant. The big picture of this expansion is absolutely beautiful. But there is a stain on that masterpiece which keeps it from being perfect. The elite specs. The design of these specs all have their own problems that revolve around class identity. However, it's the Mechanist in particular that has completely shattered any enthusiasm I had for this game. My ultimate problem is that the Mechanist is just not an NG spec. The Mechanist is designed around the Jade mech, but that mech comes at the cost of your tool belt. The tool belt is the class mechanic. Without it, NG just isn't NG. Imagine if Thief lost Steel and Initiative, Guardian lost the Virtues, or even Rev lost the Legends. They just wouldn't be that profession anymore. NG has lost its essence without the tool belt. That's what makes underwater combat a joke. There just isn't anything left in this spec without the tool belt. And the replacement for that tool belt is basically a ranger pet. Just compare the UI for Mechanist and Untamed, they're exactly the same. ArenaNet just made a new ranger spec. As far as what the mech actually does, it's not even a fair comparison for what the tool belt provides. The tool belt is 5 skills that are always available and are dependent on the utility skills you have. Really, there are only 4 skills because of the design of the previous lead specs, but the important thing is that these abilities are extremely flexible. I can change these skills whenever I want to and use whatever skill I need when I need it because they're always there. The mech comes with 3 mech commands, and these skills are dependent on what traits you have. You really cannot justify taking a trait for any one of these mech commands because your traits have massive interactions with your skills and other traits. These skills are really not interchangeable, so Mechanist just lacks that flexibility because you cannot change these traits willy-nilly and expect to have anywhere near the same impact. The freedom that this class had over all the other ones, the thing that made it unique, is gone now. There is one other skill that every Mechanist has, but none of them use. This big button that really wants to be pushed but does nothing. Recall Mech. This skill does absolutely nothing useful. All it does is remove the mech and all of the skills the elite spec adds. If you ever wanted to punish someone for misclicking, I couldn't think of a better way to do so. It's not even useless, it's detrimental and even suicidal. But really, I have to ask why. Why does it do nothing? It has this brilliant animation, and it's garbage. I don't think any other skill functions like this. And the skill doesn't even have to be useless. It could have done damage, or even be a smoke field. That would have actually added nuance to this build that makes it different from Ranger. But no, it's just a worse version of the same thing. Now the only thing this spec adds that isn't completely garbage are the signets. The problem with these though is that they're not good, they're broken. These skills are just extremely strong while also providing passive bonuses. Rectifier has more healing output than any other skill, Overclock is CDR and restores the mech to full health when it's dead, and Shift Signet just does 5 things. 5 really good things. These skills are so good there just isn't much else worth taking in the rest of the class, which also contributes to the lack of flexibility that this spec has. Not all the signets are bad or boring though. Superconducting Signet is a good example of what this spec could be, and is the only signet that actually attempts to maintain the identity of the NG profession. It's a combo field. This should be the direction the spec takes. It can be about comboing between you and your mech, and it would make this pet unique to Engie instead of a Ranger clone. But as it is, the mech is just a broken pet. Honestly, this spec just doesn't feel new. It does exactly what Ranger does in PvP, this is just broken because of the sustain and alacrity. It has none of the flexibility of base Engie, and is completely useless without the mech. Not to mention the signets and mech commands are insane, and ignore the identity of Engie. This mech is not bad, it sees a lot of play, but that is because it's not balanced. Mechanist is not engineer without his mechanic, without the tool belt. It should have the tool belt, and to be something that expands on that mechanic. It could be tool belt swap, an interesting take on the tool belt as a mechanic. And if the mech is going to be as strong as it is, it should be dependent on comboing, because that's a core component of the profession and doesn't power creep Ranger pets. I just want Mechanist to have its own identity and feel like it's a part of the engineer profession.